19 of the last 21. They are sitting 11 games under 500. This is the first time LeBron's been that far under 500 since his rookie year. Ooh. Shannon, overall, how much do you think this season is going to tarnish LeBron's legacy?
I don't think it's going to tarnish it at all because they wouldn't even be 11 games under 500 had they not had LeBron. They'd probably be 40 games under 500. Skip, he's having a phenomenal season. He's having us rethink what a player can do late in their career. He's either going to be first or second team All-NBA. He's averaging 29 points a game. He's shooting his highest field goal percentage since he got to L.A. at 52%. He's playing well, although the success that he's playing at hadn't turned into team success. We know this. The Russell Westbrook experiment has been a disaster. Anthony Davis has only played 37 games, and the supporting cast look old, and they're getting older as we watch them on a nightly basis. When you have 3-4 guys, Skip, that's on your roster on 10-day contracts, and they play heavy minutes, that kind of lets you know, Skip, where you actually are. Let that sink in for a second. None of these other contending teams have guys that are on 10-day contracts or that were cut right before the season playing heavy minutes for them. If you look at the top team, Golden State doesn't have that. Phoenix doesn't have that. Milwaukee doesn't have that. Most of these teams have guys that they didn't all of a sudden like, man, we need a Stanley Johnson. All of a sudden, Austin Reeves, undrafted free agent. And he's played well. These guys have given him some minutes. But, Skip, you're not going to win a whole lot. So I don't think this is going to harm his legacy. Now, especially it's going to harm it with you because what you do when it comes to LeBron is that you kind of move the goalpost. But when it comes to Tom Brady and MJ, because I sure remember MJ in Washington.
Yeah,
I saw
it too.
Mm-hmm. Did that harm his legacy?
No.
Okay.
Michael Jordan took 3 years off after he won his last championship, and he did so on principle because the two Jerrys, Reinsdorf and Krause, ran Phil Jackson out the back door. They said, no more.
Skip, you need to start blaming Jerry Krause. That's Jerry Reinsdorf. Jerry Reinsdorf owned that team. All those decisions, none of those decisions could have been made without his blessing. It was easy for Mike to blame Jerry Krause. It was easy for Scotty to blame Jerry Krause. But you know ownership. Jerry Reinsdorf signed off on everything.
Although I did hear from Jerry Reinsdorf a couple of weeks back, is right before we went on vacation, that, hey, you can't lay it all on me because Phil didn't want to rebuild. He didn't want to be with the rebuilding team, and a lot of those players were getting old. But whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, bring him back one more time, Skip. That's what Mike said. Mike said, just give me one more time at it.
And then, remember, just for the record, Mike then accidentally cut his forefinger with the cigar cutter, and it was deep and bad, and it could have cost him much, if not all, of the next season. Right. Anyway, but that's ancient history. The point is that Jordan took 3 whole years off. He let himself go a little bit. He wasn't quite on the Tim Grover Memorial workout circuit, the Breakfast Club that he and Pippen and Harper conducted all through the 98 Last Dance season. And yet, after 3 years, he comes back. And it was ceremonial. He just wanted to have fun, play some hoops with guys that he liked. He could handpick his team. They went 37-45 each of those years. They did not make the playoffs. He averaged 23-6 the first year. Then he averaged 20-6 the second year. He was 39 the first year, 40 the second year.
Right.
Actual leading scorer on the last year's team was Jerry Stackhouse, now my coach at Vanderbilt University, best school in America. Pretty good basketball team in the NIT, making a run.
Now, y'all ain't making no run. Y'all just happen to be happy to be there.
Okay. 37-45. Back to your man, LeBron. I'm looking at this, and I don't think they can get to 37-45.
No.
They're 11 games under 500, and you keep looking at what's left of the schedule, and you say they're going to be favored in maybe 2 of those games.
Yeah. Right.
Can they win those 2? I think so.
Let me see what their record is against. I got to see what their record is again. Because I'm hoping, okay, they're 29. Can they get to 32-50?
Oh, man. 29.
They got 13 games to go, Skip.
29-40. So they're going to have to win to get to 37.
Man,
they got to win 8 more games.
They're not getting to 37. I'm just saying, can we get to 32-50?
Okay, so as ceremonial as MJ was, even those Wizard teams are going to finish better than LeBron's team. in year 19 at age 37. But these are the Lakers. I remind you, this team, as is right now, it was the preseason odds makers' favorite to win the NBA championship, to win it all, not just the West, to win it all.
Right.
What has happened?
Well, what happened, Skip, was the thing that everybody said. If this team can stay healthy and right on cue, after the first game, LeBron has the growing thing, and he misses, 20 games. And then as soon as he gets back, AD is out. And then AD's out again. So AD's of 62, or what they play, 69 games, AD's only played 37. So he's missed 32 games.
Okay, look, we're talking about LeBron freaking James here. As much as I've criticized him, I always tell you he's still obviously an all-time great player. He's still the best passer in basketball. He's still the best driver of the basketball in basketball. Still has the highest IQ in basketball. But he's not having the winning impact that he used to have. And it shocks me, from my heart, it shocks me on a nightly basis because he is so great that I say, surely just the rub-off factor, just having that guy standing on your court with you, you say, I got him and you don't? Can't you win some of these games? It is stunning to me what's happened since the All-Star break. If you look hard at what LeBron is not doing since the All-Star break, that's 11 games they've played. They're 2-9 in those games. He is leading the NBA in turnovers over those 11 games because he's just turning it over like crazy. He had 5 more last night. Yet his assists have plummeted. This is the same man who just 2 seasons back in the bubble, obviously, through that season, he led the NBA in assists at 10.2 because you know and I know he is highly capable of doing it. He could have done it this year. If he'd put his mind to that, I believe he could have done it. The point is, since the All-Star break, he's averaging 4.7 assists, 10.2 down to 4.7, while he's averaging 4.9 assists. It's 4.7 turnovers.
Right.
So he's barely assists over turnovers, and which is no good. The ratio is.
You need to be 2 to 1 assist to turnover.
You need to be 2 to 1, and it's pretty close to 1 to 1. It's 2 percentage points off 1 to 1.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they're having a bad stretch. He's having a bad stretch, but he'll have a salvo of 50-point games within this stretch. Right. And he'll get hot-handed from 3. But for the year, he was 1 for 8 last night because it just happens. That's who he is. He always plunges back to the norm, which is he's now 35.7% from 3. That ranks 86th of 150. So
now the next game, you know what that means. The next game.
Okay, maybe.
Remember Houston game, Skip? He went one. What did he go like 0 for 9?
No, he went 1.
I think he went 0 for 9. I think he missed all of them. And then the next game he comes back and he couldn't miss from 3.
Okay, well it happens. And maybe, to your point, it will happen again.
I'm hoping it does.
But I look at this and I say, wait a second. You're 5-16 in your last 21 games. This is LeBron freaking James. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I have lost I'll give you an ounce. 1 ounce of respect for him because we're watching this Lakers new series by Adam McKay. It's called Winning Time because that's what Magic called the fourth quarter or late games. Winning time. Well, this team, first quarter is losing time, right?
It's over.
Well, it is. They're just getting mopped up, wiped off the floor in the first quarter. And I'm saying, this is LeBron. And sometimes it looks like he's just disinterested because he looks around like, I can't win with this.
They're giving up an average of 66 points a game in the first half since the All-Star break.
66.
Skip, so that's 132.
Well, they've been giving up 48s in the first quarter.
Yeah, they give up 40. They get 30. They get what was 31-17. Remember the other night was like they scored like 12 in the first quarter. So it was like 30-12, 32-12, something like that. And then, they come and give you a little spurt in the third. It was 31-19. And then they give up 38 in the fourth quarter.
I mean, seriously, right now, the Houston Rockets, when I watch them, they have the worst record in basketball. They look more competitive than the Lakers do.
Skip, you know what it is? When you're young, you can play hard for longer. The Lakers can play hard in spurts.
Yep.
But when you turn the ball over and you have that lull where you're not playing well, teams run out. Skip, the game will be 6-2, and the next thing you know, Frankie B is calling a timeout because the score is 18-6. That's just how quick it goes.
Okay, so seriously, Michael Jordan at age 39 and 40 was having more impact on wins and losses than LeBron is having at age 37.
Well, I think the NBA is better than when back then. Skip, these teams are, you know, we didn't talk about it. We were thought about doing it, like the scoring, what we're seeing. Skip, the guys are more skilled now. You know, back then, only a handful of guys could shoot the ball like Larry Bird. Skip, I'm not